Okay, here is what we're doing on this particular video. I've titled this Happy Fall, Y'all. I wanted to create a little bit different palette than I normally do, so this one was kind of fun, and you can be so creative with it and do so many different things with it. So we are going to get started on it. Okay, I've got the background started on this, and I painted 2 coats of celery green with a 2-inch foam roller. And so now I want to do a little stenciling in the background, just kind of subtle stenciling. I don't want it to be, you know, in your face kind of stenciling. And I've got this Tim Holtz stencil. You can get these through DecoArt. And this one is a burlap stencil. So I just want to create a little bit of texture in the background. And then I picked up one of Tracy Moreau's stencil brushes, so I'm excited to try this. So hopefully I will use it correctly. So I've just picked up a little bit of paint on the end. And this is light avocado. And I think I want to tap some of this off on a paper towel, because I don't want this to be really dark. And I'm going to do a hit and miss kind of thing. Circular motion. Some places I'll press a little harder, and some places I will press a little less. Oh yes. And then it gives me that kind of look in the background. So I'm going to do this all over the whole thing. I love this brush. So if you do not have one of her brushes, I highly recommend you getting one. I don't want to overlap, so I'm going to try and get as close as I can without overlapping here. And then just finish this out. So that's how we're going to get the background together, and I want to try and fill in any gaps there are. That's not as dark down there, so I probably will go back over that again. I can tell where I put the stencil. So I'm going to finish this out with the stencil and kind of, it's okay if you've got, because we did a hit and miss thing, but like this is a really big area over here, so I want to put a little bit of stenciling over there. So that's our next step, and I'm just going to tell you that this is an optional step if you choose not to do this one, or you've got another background stencil that you prefer to use. Please feel free to use it or to leave this step off. It is completely your choice. I give you creative license to do that kind of thing, so don't think that you have to follow exactly as I do as I'm doing my background. I want you to be happy with your project, so whatever is appealing to you, then you go and do that. So I'm going to finish my stenciling and get my pattern transferred on. Okay, I've got all my pattern transferred on. My lettering is on each side. It says Happy Fall, Y'all. And then I did about a 1/4 inch banding around the outer edge. I don't know that I will keep that on there, but I put it on there for now. So that will be an optional step as well as the lettering. The surface that I'm painting on is a 10.5 inch garden plaque from CD Wood. And you can order that from their website. And if you want to make this a dual purpose little banner, then put some press and seal on the back of this. Okay, press it on real good. Take it and lay it on a cutting mat and take a razor blade around the edge and cut it as close to the piece as you can. And then when you roll on your paint, if any paint kind of bleeds over the sides, it will keep it from getting on the back. Because the back side of this, you could paint a Christmas scene or something on it. So you have your fall and your Christmas all together one place. So just flip it over for each season. I have been so excited to paint this design for you. I've had it drawn up for a while, and I've just been dying to get to it. So I hope it turns out as cute on here as it is in my mind. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, I went ahead and transferred all of my features on here, but I'm going to go ahead and erase these back. And I think I will just transfer these back after I paint the head and the body. And then I can come and put them back on so that I don't have to go around them. I prefer to, you know, layer my project and not have to, you know, paint around some little detail on here. I'd rather come back and put the detail back on later. Now, our feathers back here, which by the way are going to be fall leaves. Oh, so excited. If any of your line drawings you think is too dark when you transfer it, just take a white eraser and erase it back to where you can just see it. I'm going to go ahead and leave mine where they're at for you. Normally I would erase them back a little bit so that, you know, I don't have to worry about the line showing through when I paint, because once you put paint, even water that has a little bit of paint in it, over any of these graphite lines, they're there. You can't get them out. You can't erase them. No matter how hard you scrub with that eraser, they will not come out. So that is just a little tidbit of information that I like to pass on. Okay, get my brush that I want here. I'm going to go with the number 12 to base in the head here. So we're going to keep our turkey kind of a brown, more neutral color, because our feathers are going to be so bright. So the first thing you want to do with your brushes, so let me move this over. You want to wake them up. Now, whether it's just, like if you have a basin like this, resting it on the brush rest and letting it just sit there and fill up with water, that's a perfectly wonderful way to wake your brushes up. But when they've not been used, or even if they've dried and you know you haven't used them for a couple days, even a few hours, they will get dry. So you just want to get your bristles completely full of water. You want to wake that brush up. It needs to be happy. This will condition it. It will be ready to work fabulously for you. So wake those bristles up. Whatever brush you're using, you need to wake the bristles up. Okay. Now, once the bristles are awake, you want to take your paper towel and lay the brush on it this way, and lay the brush on it this way. And if you've got any water on the ferrule, just kind of wipe that off. But that will wick any excess water out of your brush. So it's awake, it's conditioned, it's got the right amount of water in it, it's ready to go for you. So just a little tip there for brush conditioning. Always wake them up and make them happy. Okay, we are going to start with toffee, and we're going to use this on the head. And because we have a green background, it's going to take a couple of coats. So I would rather that you thin your paint down a little bit with water and get some nice smooth coats going, as opposed to trying to put on some super thick paint and having ridges and globs and just yucky stuff. And if you start in the middle and work your way out, then you've deposited the majority of the paint already. And try not to give a lot of pressure. The more pressure that you give as you put your paint on, the more ridges you will get. Okay, and you can add water to your paint. That's what I do. I like to have my coats of paint thin down a little bit, and I like the way that it goes on that way. And if that means that I have to put on an additional coat or two, I'm completely happy with that, because I would rather my coats are nice and smooth. So see, the first coat is just a blotchy mess, because it's just, you know, it's just a thin coat. Okay, I'm going to get a smaller brush now. I'm going to go to an 8 flat. That first one was a 12 flat. Okay, I want to take the toffee. So I've got Toffee, Snow White, Sable Brown, Burnt Umber, and Soft Black on my palette. I want to take some of this Toffee, pull it out here, and take some white and make a lighter shade of that Toffee. So I think we'll do 2 whites to 1 Toffee. So 2 Snow White, 1 Toffee. Okay, and I want to put this in the, got way too much paint on my brush, let me wipe that off. I want to put this in the belly area, and I think it might need just a touch more of the Toffee. There we go. Now this is just base coats. We're going to come back and hopefully make it look a little bit more like a fluffy feathers. So we're just putting this in this area. Right here, this is like the chest area. And this is that mix. So, okay, I'm going to wash my brush. And keep the same brush. And I want to go into Snow White now. And we're going to do this little collar area here. This area right here. I have no idea if what I am making as a turkey is even right or appropriate or what a turkey has. And I don't know how much of my dog you can hear behind me, but good Lord Almighty, she is snoring away. Just crazy ridiculous. I haven't had her, let her be in here for the last couple of videos that I've done, and I think I might have to scooch her on out of here. Alright, for over here on the side, we're going to put Sable Brown. And so this is all basically just undercoating, but we want to have a nice foundation for what we're going to build on here. Okay, the side. And we're also going to do the wings with this color. And, oops, that's not a wing. Right here is the wing. Just kind of wiggle that in there, fill it in. Try to kind of retain where your sections are. That's why you want to paint each section individually, because then you can see where each one is. And you won't have to put your pattern lines back on. Okay, so we are just going to work on the bird for now. So I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to get another coat of each color on here. So we got Toffee, we got Snow White, we got Toffee and Snow White mixed. So you can kind of play around with that and get a shade that you like. I probably need to have a little bit more white. And I went back and added Toffee, but I think when I do the next layer, I'm going to do it like I said, 2 white and 1 Toffee. And then out here is Sable Brown. So let's get our 2 coats on there, and then we'll come back and start playing with this bird. Okay, I've got all my base coats on. I went in and added my lines here for the face, and did white for the eyes. The feet and the beak are moon yellow, and the eye part itself, the eyeball, is a sapphire and Snow White. 1 sapphire, 2 Snow White, and then lamp black right there. So now I want to put a little bit of glow on the cheeks here. So I've got should have some kind of stiff brush. This one is not very stiff, so I don't know how well it's going to work. I'm applying Autumn Red on here, on his cheeks. Just kind of dry brushing. We're using a dry brush. I think I will, seems textured back there, probably from the roller. Let me go ahead and do the other side. And then I think I will switch brushes. this one's too soft. I just want to get, it's okay that we're getting it on the yellow. We can go back and base coat that back in. Okay, this is just autumn red. There's hardly any paint on my brush here. I don't really know why it's leaving color there. Must have been something in the paint there. Okay, so we'll leave that for there. I'm going to go back in and touch up my moon yellow. I went ahead and transferred on my wing details here. So let me touch up that yellow. So if you want to do the cheeks before you paint your beak in, that would probably be a wise idea. Of course, when I'm designing, it's right here on the video for you. I don't know what I'm going to do ahead of time, so I'm showing you all the things not to do. Okay. And for the eyelid, I only put one coat of the toffee on there for the eyelid. And I don't think I can erase this line back because I got paint on it. And my white paint might not have been completely dry when I put that mark on there. Oops. I just want to smooth out my white here. Doesn't look too smooth. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Alright, let me get my line on here for his mouth. Will be here. Kind of like that. Okay, we're going to get started on his cute little face here. So I am spritzing water on the edge of my palette with just a misting bottle that I bought in the travel section at Walmart. Spray it, just spray some water on there. Now the more you spray in one spot, the bigger your drops get. I like these littler drops, so I tend to just spray up and down the length of my paper here. Alright, I'm going to use a 10 curved flat, and I'm going to start with some sable brown here. And this is how I like to load. I like to show this on every video. This is how I load for floating. I woke my brush up so it had water in it for it to be awake, and I laid it on my paper towel to get the excess out, and then I just went straight here to my paint and started working it in. Okay. Now I want this to be a little bit of a softer, lighter float to begin with, so I'm going to keep working that paint up into my brush a little bit to get it, but still just keeping it on the toe. The more I work it, the farther up it goes into my brush, and the softer the paint gets. Okay? So now I'm going to pick up a little bit of water on the curved edge of the brush. I just went right over here and picked up some water. And I can go right back here and work my paint just a little bit more. Whenever your brush gets dry, whether it feels dry over here or if it feels dry on the paint edge, as soon as you pick up the water, you need to work it into your brush a little bit. Okay, sable brown's what we've got here. And we want to start, I'll try and keep you on camera frame, I hope. I've got you zoomed in quite a ways here, and I don't want to get you off camera, so let me apologize in advance if I do. Now this is a large, very large area to float, so if you do not feel real well with your floating skills, you can pre-dampen this. Just try not to have as much water in your brush as you normally would, since you would pre-dampen it. This is my mop brush. I use it dry, and I generally mop on the water edge when I paint, unless I feel like there's too much paint. Then I will mop in the paint, because if you mop in the paint, it takes the paint off. Okay, I'll load a little bit more on my brush here. Under this little dimple thing here. That's his little hairs sticking out there on the side. And we're going to come back and deepen all of this. This is just our initial. Can't see my little dimple line here very well. Okay, we're going to stick with this color. Okay, I want to go underneath the eyebrows here. This color is going to stay pretty light. Don't worry if you can't see it very well to begin with. So we're going to come in and darken everything up. Okay, underneath the eyes here. I don't want to go on the eye. I keep that pretty thin, so I would recommend going to a smaller brush. Use the water edge to soften back. Let me get my 6 curved flat out here. Wake it up. I'm going to use it to go around the eyes, I think. I'm going to use this 10 to go around the mouth. Definitely need water. I'm not wanting to flow off of my brush nicely. Smaller curved flat here and load it up real quick. Make sure you don't have any water on your ferrule. I just had water on my ferrule, so I had to wipe it off. Okay, let's go around the eyes. Stop your white if you can. Okay, that helps quite a bit getting that color around the eye there. If you've got enough water in your brush, you can just keep this going. Little brushes don't hold very much paint, but that held enough for me to get around that. bit on the lid here. Okay. Get my bigger brush back because I want this up here at the top needs to be a wider float. I don't like how narrow it is. I think I might pre-dampen that. Just put a little bit of water on there. Because if I don't like it also, I can take it off if I pre-dampen it. It will come off very, very easily. Okay, very, very gently mop that. Got a hard edge here. Right here is a little bitty line. I don't like that, so I took the wet edge of my brush and took care of that. Okay, I want to go around the nose, the top of the nose, so I'm going to go back to my smaller one. A very, very thin line around the top and sides of that mouth. Okay, toffee is what we basted in, so I'm going to put some toffee out and a little bit of Snow White. Create a little bit of a highlight on the chin here. So I'm just going to brush mix. When I say brush mix, generally I'll dip into here and then I'll dip into here, and if I feel it needs one more of one of the two colors, then I will dip again. So that was a 1-to-1 dip. If I dipped into here, that would have been a 2-to-1. So that keeps you from mixing a whole bunch of paint, so that you don't have gobs and gobs and gobs of mixed paint that you don't need. So if you can brush mix, that's always a good thing. Okay, I'm going to go to my small curved flat and do the same mix of color on the top of the eyelids. Go underneath the eyes again because I don't feel like I can see that enough. You can see my pencil line on there, and I won't be able to erase it now because I've gotten paint on it. Our waddle will go here, but I'm not going to put it on until we get the neck done. Okay, I want to shade some underneath the eyelids and outline the eyes. Okay, I am going to dampen in the eye here. And then I'm going to take my liner brush, some white, and I'm going to pull some streaks into the eye there. I'm going to clean the black up where I got it in the black. Okay, it still should be pretty damp. I'm going to take some straight sapphire blue and pull some, get that a little thinner. When you're using your liner brush, your paint really should be the consistency of ink. Pull some of these in this way. Okay, I'm going to take my black, pull a little bit of black out into the eyes. I want to make sure that's dry. I'm going to take my 6 curved flat, a little bit of lamp black, and I really want to keep this very sheer because lamp black, I have hardly any paint whatsoever right here. Lamp black will get away from you very quickly, so we want to a little bit more water in my brush here. We want to make sure that we don't let it get away too quick. I want to shade the bottom of the eye. I want to shade underneath the eyelid. This is with lamp black. This one needs a little bit wider float. And a little bit softer. Okay, I'm going to take some of my blue, my sapphire blue, mix it, just brush mix it with whatever black is left on my brush here. And I want to go around the outside of the eye here. Okay, let me do the other eye. See how damp that is, I couldn't see in the light. Okay, then we go into our white. And we streak some of that in there. Clean your brush, go into your sapphire, thin it down just a touch. And we're going to pull some of that in this way. Just some streakies. Okay. I don't feel like I can see enough of my white on this one, so I'm going to pull a little bit more white in here. Let me get my black, pull a little bit of black out of this. Okay, we're going to take our black and shade the bottom of the eye. Keep your shape, don't lose your shape there. I just about lost my shape. Let me get some. Need a bit more paint. Okay, then I'm going to take some blue and just mix it with that black that I've got there. Around the outer edge of the eye here. Alright, then we're going to take a little dot of white with our liner brush, and we're going to dot here, and then a couple dots out here. We want to do the same to this eye. Okay, we want to make sure that they match. Okay, now we're going to do eyelashes and stuff on here. I think while I have my black, I'm going to mix a little bit of, I could get soft black out, but I'm going to mix a little bit of burnt umber in with it. It will make about a soft black color. I think I'm going to go ahead and maybe line around these eyes. Put my stronger glasses on when I'm doing this kind of work. Maybe just put a little bit of this. Some little crow's feet coming off here. And then we'll define his eyebrow a little bit better. This is that black and burnt umber mix, which is very, very close to soft black. Okay, I want to go around the eyelid as well. You want to be up on the very tippy toe of this brush. Have your paint inky consistency. I think I will go ahead and make his eyelashes this color. So it's the black and the burnt umber mixed together to make like a soft black. I think black will be too dark for our little turkey guy here. So I'm going to come along the top of the lid and then come off of it with just 3 little eyelashes. Okay, so I'm going to follow the eyelid. Okay, and then I think one more thing I want to do here is get the water off my ferrule for sure, because that's going to cause some big issues. I might not like this, so let me see. I'm going to go very, very lightly. It's lamp black. This is staying up on the very, very tippy toe. Now, if you feel uncomfortable using your liner brush to do this, if you've got a very, very, very fine point black marker, then you can use the black marker. I didn't do as good a job on that one, but I think it will do. Okay, I want to put another small little highlight on the eyelids. This is just white. Just a little streak of it there. And then let's put a little bit, oh, too much, a little bit above the eyebrows. Okay. We want to brighten our highlights on our chin. Okay, let's add a little highlight on the hairs that are sticking out on the side here. Oops, got the wrong brush. Let me get the right brush. Might be helpful. Okay, we're going to do the Snow White and Toffee mix here. I originally was going to do Snow White, but I think that might be too bright at first. So we just want to streak this in where these little hairs are coming. Oops. Okay, I want to go underneath of them with the sable brown. I don't know that that helped, but yeah, I'm not sure I'm liking these little hairs coming off the side here. We're going to highlight on the chin here, intensify that highlight that's down there. So I'm going to do Snow White with a tiny little bit of sable brown. I'll mop that. Mopping in the paint because that was just too hard of a line down there. Okay, take my sable brown. I'm not really liking those hairs. No, I don't like that. Okay. Let me just kind of wash over them with some sable brown. See if that will help. Instead of making it 3, I should just make it like 2 big ones coming off of there. So I can fix that. You can fix anything. It's just paint. So I'm just going to paint that back in with our base color, which was toffee. Let that dry and we'll come back and fix that. Okay, I've got my sable brown, but I've mixed a little tiny bit of burnt umber, just a tiny little bit of burnt umber in there. This little guy has some hairs on the top of his head. Right here. But I think we will wait and add those with that black-brown mix after we get everything else done here. Okay, so we're going to start on our feet and our beak here. Well, actually, I'm going to do the beak. I might save the feet after I do all these feathers and stuff down here. So I'm not really sure what colors I want on this. So let me get out Tangelo Orange, Georgia Clay. These are all going to be colors that are in our wings, our feather wings. I'll get out Cad Orange, Burnt Orange, and Autumn Red. Oh, check up. Burnt orange. So I should have had this paint already out of my palette, so you don't have to sit here and wait for me to get it out. I had a teacher show me how to get the the paper's off of a bottle, a new bottle of paint. And sometimes I have success with it and sometimes I don't. So you take your bottle, you cup it up to your mouth, you breathe around the bottle really hard a couple of times, and you twist it, and it comes right off. It twists right off. Sometimes I can get it to come off completely and sometimes I can't. So if you don't have a special tool and you can breathe heavily on the end of this, you can twist that paper right off. Okay, I came in and kind of changed how his mouth looks a little bit, and it's very dark, so I want to erase that down just a little bit where I can just barely see it, because I want him to smile. I think we might put maybe a couple of flowers down here around his feet at the end. So let's see. 6 curved flat. Trying to decide which color I want to go with. I think I'm going to go straight off with Tangelo orange because I don't want it to be too dark too quick. Okay, so I want to go above on the top part of the nose. Just bring it on around here. I'm going to mop that because that's a really hard line right there. Okay, let me put this color underneath his mouth. Okay, I want to darken that, and I think I'm going to darken it with some burnt orange. So far we've used Tangelo orange and burnt orange. I want to darken it under here. Smile to show up there a little bit better. I'm going to take my bigger brush. I'm going to go back into that Tangelo orange. I want a little bit wider, softer float here on the top. Now we want to put some bright colors on it here. Okay, the colors that I have out on my palette are saffron yellow and cad yellow. So let me try this saffron. It might not be the color that I want. That's not too bad. Then we'll come back and brighten it with some cad yellow. So I'm going to put this down here. Works very well with that Tangelo orange. Okay, I need to get that dry. Okay, while that's drying, since I've got my autumn red out here, I'm going to create a little wash of it, which that means it's going to be about 90 to 95% water and a little bit of paint. So you're just tinting that paint. I'm going to glaze over the cheeks here because I just feel like they need to be a little bit brighter. Go under the eyes there. Maybe not down below. Tap it with a sponge. A bit more over here. That looks much better. Okay, that's probably just about dry. darken up on those eyelids a little bit. They were too light for my liking. Okay, we're going to go with cad yellow now. I don't think that's going to be bright enough, so we're going to have to add some white to it. So let's dip into the white, dip into the cad yellow, and I think I'll dip into the white again. So that's 2 white, 1 cad yellow. Bring that up just a touch. I think I might want some of this color out here. Okay, and down here. Clean up. Okay, and dip into the white one more time. We need a little bit brighter here. Okay, let me go into burnt orange. Burnt orange. I'm going to be up on the very tippy toe here. Kind of doing an outline. Okay, and I am all about doing glazes. So let's create a glaze of cadmium yellow. Lots of water, very little paint. We're just tinting the paint. And we're going to put this over our whole mouth. Okay, that just brightens up his beak quite a bit. Okay, let's take our liner brush and that mix of lamp black and burnt umber. That makes like a soft black. It's not quite as dark as soft black. It's got. I'm leaning more towards the burnt umber side than the black side. And we want to outline the beak. Stay up on the tippy toe. I think I need to get my stronger glasses for this fine detail stuff. Again, if you feel uncomfortable using your liner brush to do this and you've got a very thin marker that you can use, then go ahead and use that. Not want to flow very well off my brush now. Let's give him a couple little nostril things up here. Just tap in some of that color. Okay, I think we're going to leave his face right there for now until we get the rest of him done. And then we'll come back and see where we need to make some adjustments. I already see I need, so I might as well just go ahead and do it. Some sable brown. Here. It's not quite wide enough. eyelashes if you'd like. Kind of give them a little bit of a shadow. Alright, I think before I leave here, let's shade a little bit more under here. This is with that sable brown that we shaded around the whole thing with. Okay, we'll leave it there for now. I might want to come back and deepen with some burnt umber in some of those places. But for now, we're just going to leave it right there. Okay, let's get back at this one. I have not worked on this design for almost a week now, so we're going to see if I can get back into the swing of things here. So I've got some sable brown on my palette, and I'm thinning it down with a little water. So I'm going to use my liner brush here. We're going to go out here and start on the outer wings. So I just want to outline them. I think I'm going to have to add some burnt umber in there. So let me get some burnt umber. Probably use 2 burnt umber to 1 sable brown, or equal amounts will probably just be fine as well. Just don't use straight burnt umber. That might be a little bit too dark. We'll outline here a little bit. Shade there, but we want to keep the wing separated. Ran out of paint there. You've got to have your paint the consistency of ink. So add your water in. And just dip your brush into water and then go over and pick up some paint and mix it together, and do that as often as you need to get a nice inky consistency to your paint. To the feathers there. Okay, now we're going to pick up a small round brush. And I don't really like the shape of this wing over here, but I can fix that when I do my feathers in the back. So now we want to add some lighter color on the tips. I put some antique gold out here. I've got Snow White on my palette. Put some antique gold. I'm not sure if this is a color I want to use on the wings or not. I don't know what color turkey wings should be. So I'm just going to make up my own little turkey wings, I think. Put a little antique gold, a little bit of Snow White, and a little bit of sable brown. Just mixed it all together. It's not very much brown in there at all. I'll wipe a lot of that off. So I'm just going to pull this on the tips of the wings. Add some highlight on here. Bring it up a little bit. This is just dry brushing. I'm not doing much pressure. I'm just letting the brush do its thing. Okay, I'm gonna mix a little bit more here. Do this other side. I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I may want to go back over it with some more browns. This might be too gold for me. Okay, I had my camera off. See, I haven't done this for a while, so I thought I was turning it off, but I was turning it on, and vice versa. So, you didn't see how I finished this out. I shaded with burnt umber along this edge here, up in here, and then I just took a really sheer glazing of burnt umber and washed it over the wings to kind of take them down a little bit. That's all I'm going to do to those for now, because I want to wait till we get the wings, the feathers back here done, because we may bring some of those colors onto the bird somewhere. So now we're going to work on this part of the chest, the outer part. And I'm going to try I think I'm going to do sable brown and white mixed together. I think that might be too chalky. I don't know if I'm going to like that, so let's see how it's going to look here. I've got equal amounts. I'm just wanting to create the look of some feathers on here. You don't have to be too awful exact about this. Just pulling up, and you can have your feathers look however you want your feathers to look. Just going to give him a little feathery look. I'm going to wipe my brush off, pick up a little bit of Snow White on the tip of it, and put a little bit of this on the tips of our little places that we kind of gave the look of feathers. I'm just using a one round brush here. Okay, now we can bring some of these out, like this, onto the with the brown, the brown mix. Make him a little more fluffy out here. And then come in and add that white to it. A little bit on it. Okay, let's make a few brighter ones. Right here by adding a little bit more white in there. Okay, so before I do any shading on this one, I want to come in and do the chest here. So I'm going to go back to my liner brush. And I'm going to start with sable brown. I'm going to thin my paint down, and I just want to start coming in here and adding some fine little hairs on here. Just short little strokes. Add some white to it because I painted the chest with the toffee color, so this brown might be a little bit too dark. So I'll just mix a little bit of white in there. Just creating some little fluff here. I know it doesn't look like fluff at the moment, but we are going to get there. I probably should go do the feet before I finish this, because I'm going to have some of those little fluffy feathers coming over. Let's go back and shade didn't think I wanted to shade first, but I'm going to. Some burnt umber if I can get it to work into my brush here. I'm going to go ahead and shade around the feet here. Kind of up around the neck. And I want to go around this chest area, but I want it to be kind of irregular. So irregular around the neck there. And around the feet. Tad bit more paint here. Okay, let's go finish the feet before we do anything else here. Okay, I started to paint my feet in, and then I didn't like them, so I went back and base coated back over them with some moon yellow. So let's try this again. We're going to start with our Tangelo orange. We're going to use all the colors we used on the beak. And I want to keep this down at the bottom, and I don't have very much paint on my brush, so it's not going to make it too dark. I just kind of walk that up just a little bit. I'm going to very gently mop that. I want to keep the darker colors on the bottom as opposed to up here on the beak. We kept them more on the top. That's what I started to do. I started to put the darker colors on the top, and it wasn't looking very much like how I envisioned it to look. So I'm swapping it out. Let's get that color all the way out to the edge there. Okay, I'm going to go to my 6 curve flat here. I was using my 10 curved. And in the deep areas between the toes, I want to put some of this color. It's the Tangelo orange. Try not to leave any hard lines when you're doing it. Okay, then we're going to deepen our Tangelo orange color with some burnt orange. So you could paint these feet in at the same time that you do your beak. It's not going to hurt anything at all. I just wanted to do it after I put some color in up here because I wasn't sure, you know, what I was going to do with that. Okay, let's go with some saffron yellow now, and we will put this on the top edges. It's going to brighten up our yellow quite a bit. This might look awful bright, but our colors back here on our feathers are going to be pretty bright as well. So we want to, you know, try and keep. Actually, this looks a little brighter than that, so I might go back over that with a little bit of maybe some burnt orange just up here on the top edge. Not too much. Just a tad bit there. Okay, let's get some cad yellow on here. Yep, cad yellow. Just in that same yellow area. Just want to put a little bit more up there. Okay, and then we're going to mix cad yellow and Snow White. 1 cad yellow and 2 Snow White. So that means you dip into your cad yellow and then you go dip into your Snow White and you blend them. Then you go dip into your Snow White again and blend that into the paint you've already blended into. And I could probably go down to a much smaller brush here. Would be a smart idea, but you know what? Nobody ever accused me of being smart, so there you have it. Okay, that's looking much better on those feet. Okay, we want to create our little claws on his feet. Find my pattern. Now I'm going to do that with some burnt umber. So I'm going to use my liner brush, thin it down just a little bit. And we want to come in here and just add his little toenails on here. I'm going to fatten the ones up over here. They need to be a little bit fatter, I think. Okay, I'm going to wipe my brush off. I am not going to clean it. I'm going to dip into some Snow White here. Just dirty brush it. I'm going to put a little bit of this on the tip. A little highlight on those little nails there. Okay, now I want to take my 6 curve flat. So we kind of want those nails to set in a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit of burnt umber. Kind of put some of this at the base. A little C-stroke. I think I have way too much water in my brush here. It's not quite getting as dark as I'd like. You're just going kind of around where you put that in. Kind of sets the toenails down in there just a touch. Okay, then let's take our 10-0 liner and we want to add a final little highlight on here of Snow White. Just in some prominent places. Yeah, maybe not on that side. Doesn't look too good on that side. And then you want to glaze over it with some cad yellow. You want to make sure your white is dry before you do this. So just get some cad yellow and some water on your brush, about 90 to 95% water, and a little bit of paint. And we're just going to glaze over the whole thing. So you can see how that kind of perks that one up just a little bit. So we'll perk this one up. Okay, I think he's looking pretty cute. Okay, we're going to start working back on the chest area here. Okay, so we used that sable brown and burnt umber mix. More sable brown than burnt umber. Okay, so now we want to take some sable brown and Snow White and mix it. And we're going to mix 1 sable brown, 2 whites. Let's see if this will give us a little bit lighter color. Oh, too much paint on my brush there. And we're just going to put some of these. Oh, goodness, I keep picking up too much paint. So now we can kind of come over the feet a little bit. Not too much because the feet are in front, so you can have a stray little chest hair or coming here and there. So this mix is probably 3 Snow White and 1 Sable Brown, so you can just kind of create it whatever looks good to you. Okay, I want to put some of this color up on his neck as well. Some little hairs up in here. I have to come back and add some darker ones in here. A little feathery, which we can't see too much of this right now. So I'm going to wipe my brush out and pick up a little bit of Sable Brown. And just kind of work that into my brush. And we're going to put some of these up in here. I don't want it too dark up in here. I want this to stay lighter. Okay, I'm going to mix a little bit of burnt umber with that Sable Brown. I want to put a few little darker ones down in here. Just a little liner brush. Now it doesn't look like a whole lot going on there, and we don't want a whole lot going on there. Now we want to start shading here. I want to shade the neck first, and I'm going to use some Sable Brown. I'm going to use my small curved flat. I want to shade underneath the chin here. I'm going to come back and highlight that chin a little bit more so it will stand out. Just spray some more water on my palette here. Okay, still using Sable Brown. I want to create some irregular little wrinkles and stuff here, so I'm just kind of staying up on the tippy toe of my brush and just kind of wiggling that in there. Okay, now I'm going to dip into some burnt umber. I'm just going to let it blend with the Sable Brown on my brush. A little bit more water here, I think. We're going to go back underneath chin. We're still got to add a final highlight on here, so I'm going to go highlight the chin real quick. I'm going to use the white and a tiny little bit of Sable Brown, not very much. Create a brighter little highlight on the chin. Okay, let's shade underneath the neck now. And I want to shade under it with some burnt umber. Laying the brush flat, soft pressure. Okay, so before we go any further down on the chest, let's take our liner brush. I'm going to get some fresh white out. Fluff this neck up a little bit. So let's go in and add some little white hairs in here. Give him a little bit fluffier. I'm just pity-patting them, going every which direction. I don't want them to be perfect or uniform. Through there. I'm going to put some of this just white down here in the chest, in the center of the chest. These are just short little strokes. Or little taps in there. Okay, I think I want to deepen the shading underneath the chin. So I'm going to go into some burnt umber. I just feel like this needs to be a little bit darker than it is. And we can kind of deepen a few more of the wrinkles there. And then add a few more little white strokes in there. Little tip taps. Okay, kept it mostly in the center. Okay, so let's come down and shade on the center of the chest. We're almost done with this part of the bird for now. We're going to finish this up. Then we'll go out to the feathers. When we get the feathers done, then we're going to come back and see what we want to add to the bird. Okay, let's start with some burnt umber here. I want this to be a little bit darker shading down here. So we're going to go around the feet, kind of come up on the chest a little bit, mark it up there. I think I want just a little bit more underneath here in a couple of places. Doesn't have to be every place there. Okay, that's dry and I want to deepen that. So you're going to shade this down here twice. Keep it off your little feetsies. Let's add some final little white strokes on here in the center. And I really hope you've been staying on camera this whole time with this little guy, because sometimes I get busy painting and forget to look up the monitor and make sure that you're where you need to be. Little dibby dabbies. Okay, so now we've got his little chest area, his neck area all done right there. Alright, I've got some base coats added on here. On his little waddle, I base coated it with tomato red. So now we're going to start adding some shading on it and finish it up. We are going to get out cad red, tangelo orange, soft black, snow white, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use cad yellow or not, but I've got it out on my palette. So we want to start by putting some cad red coat's not showing up too well, so I'll have to come back and repeat that and brighten it up a little bit. Let's take some of our base color, which is tomato red, and add a little tiny drop of soft black in it. Just kind of darken that red up. We want to put this color, I got too much water in my brush, so let me dry it off and reload it. Underneath the beak. Still have too much water in my brush here. And I want to put it on this side of this one. Kind of separate those two a little bit. And I think a little bit down this edge. Not all the way down, just a little ways. Let me come back and highlight that cad red again. See if I can have that show up just a little bit better. Okay, let's brighten the highlight with some Tangelo orange. Just a touch of it. Okay, I'm going to keep that Tangelo orange on my brush. Put a tiny little bit of cad yellow in there. Put that just on the very tips of it. I want to glaze over this with a wash of the tomato red. So I want to make sure this is dry before I do that. Get a line here. And then one final little floating of just straight soft black. I'm going to keep this very tight. So I'm up on the tippy toe of the brush. Make it all look connected here. Add a line again. Just clean it up. Take the water edge as you need it to soften that, okay? Okay, I've got my first color on here, which is the peacock teal. Now we're going to go into some leaf green, and we're going to add that color in. I'll do a couple real quick, and then I'll go off camera and finish. We're just going to go over, well actually I need to do my veins in some of these with that peacock teal. Just going to do it on one side here with this color. And this one is mostly behind those two, so need one here. And this one, a little bit more water. Goes back into there, and then this one. Oh, missed one. Right here. Okay, there we have our first color on there, and that is our peacock teal. That's a newer color. It's a beautiful color. I love it. Now we're going to add some leaf green in here. Keep this a little sheer on your brush, and by doing that you mix water and you work it in until it gives you a sheer color right here. When it gives you a sheer color right here, that's when you want to go paint with it, because you know how it looks right there on your palette. That's how it's going to look when you go to paint. If it looks thick and hard lines and, you know, like that, that's exactly how it's going to paint. Or if you've got too much water and it just looks so sheer you can't hardly see it, then that's how it's going to paint for you. So just, I think that is a important tip to tell people when they're shading, that as they load their brush, how it looks right there on their palette is how it's going to look when they paint with it. It's not gonna change or do anything magical by taking it from the palette paper and going over to your piece to paint it. So, and it definitely helps to remember to use sheer, especially in the way that I paint. I like to paint with a little more sheer colors and then come back and intensify as I need to, as opposed to getting a bunch of dark colors on there from the start and then not knowing where to go from there. So I like a little more sheer color and soft pressure. Lay your brush flat when you can lay it flat, because that will help you get a little more softness in there. As you load your brush, you also need to be laying your brush flat. If you keep it up on the toe as you're loading it like this, you're just loading it on that very toe. So you're basically just going to be lining your piece. You're not going to be floating. And as long as your paint on your palette where you're loading has not dried, you can go back to that place to reload your brush. Once it's dried, though, you want to probably move to a different place to load, because you'll just pick up that dry paint and it won't be very nice on your piece. Okay, so this is the leaf green. One of my all-time favorite green colors. I think because it has just that little bit of blue in it. So I really, really like that. Okay, I'm going to have to come back and highlight that edge right there on that one, because now it's way too dark. So I'm rethinking the sapphire blue. I wanted it because that's the color that's in our eyes, but you know what? We can go back and glaze over our eyes there and put a little bit of green in them to make them go more with, I forgot to put the blue along there. So see, having that blue under there also helps that green not be so bright, because right there I forgot to put the blue under it. So that one will be a little bit different. That's okay. I don't worry about stuff like that. I'm not a fine artist. Didn't go to school for art. Kind of learned it on my own, so I need some water. Took one art class in high school, and that was it. My senior year, just because I had enough credits, and I figured that would be an easy class to take. Don't forget to go under your turned edges with this color so that everything is looking good. Alright, I figured out the color I want to highlight with, and it is going to be Bahama Blue and Snow White. So we're just going to mix that color together. Go over all of our edges that we want light. If you don't have Bahama Blue, you can use Sea Breeze. It's got a little bit more green in it, where Bahama Blue has a little bit more blue. So we're going to mix that. You can mix about equal amounts, or a little bit more white than you have blue. So we're just going to go and do this to all of our leaves and all of the light places. I went back over my my blue here that I had painted, which was sapphire blue. I didn't quite like it. We may add that back in here later, but right now I didn't like the way it looked. So we're going to get all of our highlighting done with this Bahama Blue and Snow White mix. I would say 2 Bahama Blue, or 2 Snow White and 1 Bahama Blue. Will give you a nice color. And don't forget to go on the opposite side of your veins. So, like, a little more water would probably be handy. I'm going to put a highlight side of the vein. Okay, with this mix. So you can see, I'm just brush mixing, so you can see right here, this color's a little bit lighter than that color. I actually like this color better, so I didn't have enough white in the mix here. And the reason I like it better is because it's not so far away from our base color. It's not taking us up too many steps too quick. So do 2 white and 1 Bahama Blue. We'll come back and start adding some more fun details on here. I am loving this little guy. Okay, I kind of figured out where I wanted to use the sapphire blue, so we are going to get my bigger mop brush. I think here, my 12 curve flat. You can go to a 3/8 or 1/2 inch angle. I'm keeping this sheer color. You know how I like to use my sheer colors. Okay. Small little interruption there, but no big deal. We're back at it here. Okay, so the sapphire blue, I want to shade around. Ooh, that's way too much paint there. Keep it sheer. Around the bird. Turkey. My little turkey. All the way around. And green on his wing there. I'm using this very large brush. So I've got a little bit darker right there where I initially started. So let me get a little bit of water in my brush. I'm going to make my little sheer color a little bit darker. I want to make sure it's dry before I start applying it again, because I will just remove everything that I worked so hard to put on there with the first little float. Okay, I'm going to mop that. That was a little bit harder mopping than I normally do because I felt like it was just a little bit too dark and coming out just a little bit too far. Water. Going back, and if it's still a little bit damp, I'm just kind of softening that out. That's almost too bright of a glow around him now. Woo-hoo! Okay, let's take a little bit of that sapphire and put it... I may end up completely hating this and just repainting the wings in and starting all over again. So now we want to put the sapphire under where one leaf is under another. Ooh. A bit of water there, so you saw I just smeared it with my finger. It is all good. So because I'm using such a sheer color of this sapphire blue, it is not taking away from those green blues that I have underneath it, which I'm very happy about, because I didn't want to lose those, and sapphire can be overpowering, so be sure and use your sheer color. Don't go into straight paint and use it, or you're not going to be happy. I'm going to go into a smaller brush here in a second to do those turn places. Go down to my 6 curve flat and some sheer sapphire blue. A little bit too much water there. And go under these on the back side. He almost looks like a little peacock instead of a turkey. Oh, he's looking so cute. Okay, let's add some just straight Snow White on here. A little bit too much water there. Okay, get some of that water on my brush and let me try this again. Go to a different leaf and let that one dry. Okay, we're going to create some of our brightest little highlights on here with some white. Wish my light wasn't given quite as much glare. Just our brightest little areas here. This edge. Okay, I'm going to go back down to my smaller curved flat here. Do some of these turned edges. Just straight Snow White. Let's go next to, oops, next to our center veins here. Just a little bit of Snow White. We don't want to go the whole length of it. So just a little bit. You could probably do this with a liner. You could go in and add some veining in these leaves if you wanted to create that little bit more of a textural look. Oh my gosh, he is looking just adorable. Okay, while we have these colors on our palette, I want to put some of these in the background. So, oh, that's way too much water. I want you to just pick up the colors randomly that we used, which is the peacock teal, the leaf green, the Bahama blue, and just put some tints of this color in the background. So I use a lot of water. See, there's lots of water there. And then I take my mop brush and I just mop it and kind of soften it out and let it kind of just be in the background. So wherever you want to go with it. We can go by our lettering as well. Okay, I'm going to do one more of this color. This is the peacock teal. And you saw how sheer of a color that is on there. So let me go into some leaf green. We want to keep it the same sheer. And just put some of this around. We can go through our letters. We don't have to protect them. Clean my brush off. It's got a little bit of that blue still in it. And let's see, we might put a little bit of sapphire out here. I don't know if I will like the sapphire. So we'll see how it's going to look. Make sure you don't have any hard lines in there. I'm just going to do a couple of sapphire because I don't like that color as well. I really like that first one, so I'm going to go back and darken a little bit on that first one. Some of the places. Don't get any hard edges, so plenty of water and mop quickly. That one to be a little bit darker. Hope you're staying on camera for this wildness that I'm doing here. You could add this by dry brushing it in as well. Like I've got some hard line there. I did go in and add, let me zoom you in so maybe you can see that on his eyes. I put just a little bit of float of that peacock teal on the very tips of his eyes. I had to go back in and redo the white dots, but that kind of brought the eye a little bit more together there. Okay, so we've got to do a little tweaking on the bird here. Some little hairs coming off here and up here, and I want to shade under him and maybe put some daisies down here, and then we'll do the lettering. Okay, let's add some little hairs on this guy. I initially drew some on the pattern up on the top, so I'm going to use some burnt umber, and we're just going to, first of all, I need to get the water off my ferrule. Don't want that running down and causing major. So you can just bring him some hair down. He is a cute little guy. Give him as much or as little hair as you want, or no hair at all. If you don't like the hair, you can leave it off. It's certainly a personal choice. Okay, I want to put a few little hairs over here. And a few over here. Looks like I need to shape his face a little bit. Okay, I'm going to outline him here. This is just where you do some little tweaking stuff here. Take that down just a touch. It's pretty thin burnt umber. It's not real thick. Aw, he's just a cutie. He's just a little baby one. He's so cute. Okay, I'm going to go into some white and mix that in with my brown. And we'll put some little highlight ones on here. Not too many. We don't want him to look like he's got gray hair. Oh, he's just so cute. Just taking what's left in my brush and kind of putting it on the tips of the wings there. Okay, I think I want to wash just a tiny little tad bit of some of that, maybe the leaf green, into this guy. Maybe not. Maybe the other blue would look better. Just a little hint of it in a few places. That was that peacock teal. So I think that'll be good enough. Oop, we don't want it on the toes. We definitely don't want the green or the blue on the toes. Just a tint. I like to spread the love. That's looking really good. Alright, I want to kind of make this look like he is sitting on the ground. So I'm going to create a washy little float of burnt umber. And I'm going to go around him. Give him some shadow. I'll go back in here. Probably got too big of a brush for this. Oops, went over my white on my toes, so I'm going to have to, on my claws there, I'm going to have to redo that. Okay, I just want to kind of pull this out. Some back in here. This is a pretty sheer little wash of color right now. I'll come back and darken it. Okay, that was just a little washy float of burnt umber. So I'm going to put some soft black out. Do I have that in my palette? Yes. I'm going to put some soft black out, I think. I'm going to use this in a few places here. So I'm just going to dirty brush into the soft black. I still have a little bit of that burnt umber on my brush. Okay, so we got some really dark places here. Use the water edge and pull that out. So we're going to be kind of dark here. Pull that out. Dark, a little bit more dark down here, kind of more like a shadow. Back in here is going to be dark. A little bit too much paint, so I just went and wiped it off on my paper towel. My foot there. Okay, back in here. I hope I'm getting you on camera for this. This is just our darkest areas here. And I'll have to come back in and highlight those toes again. That kind of makes him look like he's sitting on the ground a little bit, and gives us an area for adding some little daisies in here later. Okay, well, I have the soft black. I think we're going to deepen a little bit here. I'm just kind of tapping it in because I don't want to cover up my little highlight things there. A little bit here. I'm up on the tippy toe. Down here. Just tap, tap, tap. Okay, let me put just a tiny little bit on the bottom of his feet. I think I need a smaller brush here. My brush is way too big for this. And I'm sure you can't believe I'm even saying that, right? Because I'm the kind of gal that likes to use a big brush. The bigger the better, I generally say. Those little feetsies wasn't quite working out. Okay, let me go re-highlight the tips of the toes here. See if I can still see them. He is just too stinking cute. Too cute, what I say. Alright, now we gotta finish up the background with our lettering and our border and our little daisies. Okay, let's start making some grasses for some daisies. So I've got my greens that we used in the background, which is celery green and light avocado. So we're just gonna pull some leaves up in random places. And some stems. I need some stems for our daisies. just using a round brush here and creating some little leaves and then some stems. We can put some little grasses in here as well, and you can come back and add this in with a liner brush. Just put some little grasses growing here and there. So just keep it loose and soft. I want to put another little flower in here, I think. Okay, I'll just leave those grasses like that for now. Okay, we're going to create our daisies with white. And daisies are pretty easy to make, so I don't want you to stress out about them. Just make some little marks on there, some little daubs, depending on how big you want your daisies to be. Okay, I'm going to put a couple that are down closer on the ground. It's just quick little movements. The flowers are not the focal point, so don't get stressed out about if they're not looking like you want them to look. They really are just little dabs. Let's put some down here. I think I'll put one over here. So we can go back and add some grasses in here. Just a little dabbing motion. Nothing really big. I think, ooh, just about messed that up there. Well, not really, because it's just paint. I could have wiped it off, no problem. So it really depends on how many you would like to have on here. I think I might put one more right there. So now I'm going to go to my liner brush, and I want to put some centers in these with some saffron. So I'm just going to dot that in there. Just a little dot. Little dot will do ya. While I have this liner, I'm going to take some of the light avocado and mix some burnt umber with it. I want a little bit darker green, and since we don't have a darker green on our palette, I'm going to try and make a little more darker dirty green. Add some darker grasses in here. Add them around our daisies because you don't have to see the stems on them. It's really much easier if you pull towards yourself. So you just adjust accordingly. And then just add some grasses here and there. Alright, now we'll take some of that mix, and we're going to, that green mix with the burnt umber, and we're going to kind of set these. Give them a little bit of, like they're growing. Wherever you have some. Okay. And I think I'm going to come back and add a little bit of teal grasses in here. Not too many. I just want to carry some of the color down here. Oh goodness. I'm not getting it to flow off my brush, so I'm going to add some more water. I'm going to turn it up like this. I have no idea what that was. Probably part of my table here. A little bit too much there, so I'm going to touch with my finger to remove some of it. Okay, just a little touch of that peacock teal. And I think that gives us some cute little flowers on there. So now we're ready for the border and the lettering. Okay, I've decided to do my lettering in burnt orange. Oh, that was just a terrible job right there. I'm using a small round brush. I've got too much water in my paint here. You want to have your paint thinned to inky consistency. And lettering is best, or maybe not best, but easiest, if you're always going in a downward or this direction motion. If you go up or at an angle up, you do not have as much control of your brush. And if you can use a round brush, like a flat brush, you know, if you can push it down in the fatter parts. So like the P here, it's a little fatter, so I'm going to push down, get a little bit fatter line. I'm going to bring that down to it because I don't want to go up. Bring that down, connect those two, and that's got a little thin line there. So it's really all in the pressure that you give the brush. So in some places like this one, you can just fill it in. A little bit of pressure. You want to take great care when you're transferring your letters. Just kind of filling that in. Because if you don't transfer them well, when you go to paint them, they won't look as nice. A little bit of pressure letting off. Okay, I'm going to be up on the tippy toe here because I want a thin line. Okay, so there's happy. Okay, now up here is fall. I'm going to paint all the letters in the same color, I think. Well, I might do fall in a different color. I'm going to go over here to y'all. Y'all. Alright, I want to be up on the tippy toe here. Pressure. Up on the toe. This has a little ball on the end of it. Okay, up on the tippy toe. Pressure. Come down, release. Come from here and come down. And let them meet. Pressure, let up, come up on the tippy toe. One more paint. Thin line. You can go get your liner brush to do the thinner lines if you feel like you need to. But if you can learn to do it on, get the same results with a small round brush, then you won't be switching brushes so much. So I'll fill that in there, and this A, well, it's got a long little tail. I'm not going to make it quite as long as I drew it. Okay, and the L, we're going to go pressure on the brush to flatten it out, fill that fat part in, then release. Up on the toe, up on the toe. Then after you get these painted in, you can go back and erase your graphite lines. If you went over them at all with the paint, they won't come off, so if you didn't get them covered good, you'll have to my y'all looks crooked to me. Like I didn't get it straight at all, y'all. Okay, for the word fall, I think I'm going to put it in with that peacock teal. So these are little fatter letters, so we're going to start here in the middle of the F, and I know that my border goes through that letter, but I'm okay with it, so I'm just going to basically fill that side in. And I'm going to fill this side in. That's the one good thing about fatter letters like this, is you can just go and fill in those parts. Now I'm going to pull the brush, I'm going to lay it flat, come back and go beside it so I can fill all that in. I'm going to turn my piece this way so I can pull it this way. It comes out past a little bit on that side. Hope you were on camera for that. Okay, so the rest of the letters are like the other letters. Now we're going to come back and do a drop shadow on these. These are a little bit fatter letters, so I'm going to go over twice so I can fill in. Okay, then my A up here. You want to give pressure in the fatter areas of your letters. Now, as it was going that way, it was starting to go up at an angle, and I don't want to do that because you lose control of your brush. So when you get to the thinner areas, you want to release your brush, come up off of it so you can take the pressure off of the brush itself. Okay, and there's fall. Okay, now we're going to outline with black, because we have a little bit of black in our piece here, so I'm going to carry some of it. And then we have to decide what color we want this border to be. And I think I'll stick with the same brush. I might go in and try and erase some of my lines, though. So this is what I'm going to be doing next is called a drop shadow. And you can do this on either side of the letter. I tend to like to do it on the left. Oh, my eraser won't stay down. But you can do it on the right sides of your letters. Okay. So I'm going to try and do this with this little, you know what? Some of my letters are pretty small, so I think I will use my liner brush. Get my paint inky consistency. We are almost done with this project, and it is looking pretty awesome. Okay, so the same rule applies here. You don't want to go up and across. and you want that to stop where it's going to meet that one. I need to make this come over. Okay, so this one will get a little shadow there. You still want to give pressure in the places where it's fatter. Ooh, got my orange there. So it's fatter there, so I want to give pressure and then release. Okay, so that's how we do an outlining or drop shadow. I'll do the word happy here and then I'll go off camera and do the rest. Really kind of needs a join there. Because you're going to see all at the top of this. Oops. Don't make... Oh, goodness gracious sakes alive. See, I wasn't looking at my line. I was thinking about what I was going to say to you. So I just got completely out of line there. So, it was still wet. It hadn't cured. Dampen it, erase it, and here we go again. Okay, so that one ended there, so I wanted it to start there. Okay, one more letter on this one. Okay, so there's our drop shadow on our word happy. So we're going to do all the rest of them with the same color, and then we're going to come back and do the border and see if it needs any tweaking after the border. Okay, I'm basing the border in with just a flat brush, just following my line. I've mixed burnt umber and soft black together because I wanted it to be burnt umber, but burnt umber probably would have required way too many coats. So I mixed it with soft black, 2 burnt umber to 1 soft black. I just mixed me a little puddle of paint there. I just squirted out soft black once and squirted out burnt umber twice and then mixed it together. And I will go over this with a second coat, because the first coat is not going to give really good coverage. And I've got an 8 flat, but you could probably go down to a 6. Okay, so there's the little border that we're doing on it. And we'll get 2 coats on it, and then we'll be done. Okay, I've got my 2 coats on here. So I think what I would like to do is take a little bit of this mix of this brown, burnt umber, and soft black, and maybe just put a little bit of it in the background. Let's see if I'm going to like it or not. More water. Too much water. It's a vicious soccer hill. Just little glows of color. Not too much. Hard lines there. I don't like that. I do like hard lines. Bring my brush off here. Oh, I don't like that at all. Way too much hardness there. I should have used a bigger white brush for this area because it's very large. Okay. Try that again there. Drying very quickly under that light right there. Okay. Alright, I'm going to do one last thing to this, and that is to float a shading underneath there. And I'm going to do straight soft black, I think. Now, in doing this part, you can pre-dampen, which is very helpful. So, I'm just going to put some water on here. That's probably way more water than I need. So I'll try not to have as much water in my brush. And I don't try to get my float all in one fell swoop, because it is too hard and causes way too much stress when you try to do it that way. Alright, let me dampen a little bit more here. Too much paint there. Okay, a little more water. A little more paint. Try to lay the brush soft, or soft. Try to lay the brush flat and give soft pressure. And mop in the water edge. Soften that out. Give it a nice look. Okay. Now I'm not going to go over my letters there. gonna have to. Can't go behind them. Come and clean them off real quick. There's plenty of water there already from that float, so I just took a almost dry brush and took that paint off. Okay, I think for now I'm going to call this little guy a done project. Turned out adorable, if I do say so myself. Okay, here he is. I don't know what I'm going to call him yet. Well, maybe I'm going to title this one Happy Fall Y'all. Yep, that's what I entitle it. Happy Fall Y'all. Because you can do the feathers and, you know, any fall colors that you like. But I just wanted to do this palette. So anyway, I enjoyed painting this, and thank you so much for painting with me. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and I'll see you on the next one.